from Maybold Design, and today I'm going to cook Sloppy Joe for the trail. Now, I've done this a couple of times before, and it turned out pretty well. So let me give you an idea what I'm up to here. First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to put a cup of water in this pot and fire up this stove and get this water boiling. That's roughly 1 cup of water, give or take a couple of tablespoons one way or the other. And today I'm using an old mini atomic that I found in a drawer. I'm not even sure why it was in the drawer. It's a fairly old stove. So we'll get this fueled up, and I'll see if I can find a pot stand, and we'll get this show on the road. So once I get this water boiling, I'll turn the camera back on. Okay, excuse me. I've got the stove fired up, and I've got 1 cup of water in here. Now, in order to rehydrate this hamburger as much as possible, I'm going to put the hamburger in while the water's cold and let it soak while it's warming up. Now, I've got some dehydrated hamburger here that's been put on a cookie sheet with a rolling pin and ground down fairly fine so it'll rehydrate a little better. And I'm going to put in 4 heaping teaspoons, actually 4 heaping sporks, maybe just a little bit more, of hamburger. And we'll stir that in, put the lid on, and let this come to a boil. And that'll help rehydrate the hamburger. Because if there's any problem, the main problem will be getting the hamburger rehydrated. That's always a problem, because it rehydrates rather slow. Now, if you're in a pinch, you can put this whole thing together. Just dump a cup of boiling hot water on it, put a lid on it in a Ziploc container, and rehydrate it that way. And it'll work, it'll be okay. But I think it develops a lot better flavor if you do it in a metal pot and simmer it for maybe 5 minutes, slow simmer it. I think it thickens things up and makes it a little bit better. And you know, when you're out on the trail, things taste good no matter what they taste like. But because this doesn't have any fat in it from the hamburger, because we're using the dehydrated hamburger, which is almost 0 fat, it's not going to be as good as what you have to home to begin with. So I'm going to go with this one and try to make it as flavorful as possible. And I'll get into some of the finer points of that as we go along. So once this comes to a boil, which isn't going to be that much longer, I'll turn the camera back on and we'll go to the spice part. Okay, this is to a rolling boil now. I mean, this is a hot stove. This is really rolling. And the old hamburger is starting to rehydrate. It's starting to get some consistency to it. Now, the next thing I'm going to add to this is I've got a package of Sloppy Joe. It's McCormick Sloppy Joe seasoning mix. Now I'm going to take that, and I've already got my 4 heaping sporks of dehydrated hamburger in there. Now I'm going to take a heaping spork of this spice, stir that in. Then I've got some Mountain House dehydrated tomato powder. Now this basically is, once you mix a little water with it, it's basically just the same thing as the tomato paste you buy in the cans. Now I'm going to put 2, just as heaped up, just as high as I can get, 2 heaping sporks of this. So now we've got 4 heaping sporks of dehydrated hamburger, 1 heaping spork of Sloppy Joe seasoning mix, and 2 heaping sporks of tomato powder. Now I'm going to let that simmer for a while. Try not to burn the bottom of this pot, because this stove is more than a little bit warm. It's actually too warm to simmer with. It's really going nuts here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put that off to the side and bring a bongo out here. See if we can fire that up. and do my simmering with bongo, which I think is the lesser of two evils. There we go. Okay, that's a little more controllable. Oh yeah, that's just a nice simmer there. That immediately came right back up. That's good. Now while this is simmering, use that for my spoon holder, I'm going to take, and I found that this needs a little salt, so I'm going to give it, probably a quarter of a teaspoon of ground sea salt. Now you can add all this to the mix, make all the dry mix together at one time. Put your salt and put some peppercorn in. And to get it just the way you want it, you may want to put a little cayenne in it, or, whatever, to your taste. You want to do it a few times at home and, get it the way you want it. Then you can put it in a bag and vacuum seal it. And when you get ready to cook on the trail, it'll be all ready to go. You probably, if you're going to simmer it for a while, you probably could put the hamburger right in with all the spices and just simmer it all together. And if you're going to simmer it for 5 or 10 minutes, the hamburger would probably rehydrate just fine that way, and you wouldn't need to do it the way I'm doing it, where I put it in separate. But since I was showing you, I did it that way to just make sure it hydrated correctly. Oh yeah, that's good. Now, this is never going to be as good as something that your wife cooks at home, depending on how good a cook your wife is. And my wife's a really good cook. Because, for one reason, it's not made with home spices and green pepper and fresh onions and all that. It's basically all coming out of an envelope. And second off, it doesn't have all the fat in it. And a lot of Sloppy Joe's flavor comes from all the fat and juice in the hamburger that you cook right into the whole thing. So it's kind of got a few strikes against itself right from the get-go. But, on the other hand, you're not sitting at the kitchen table eating it after spending the day out enjoying, watching TV and stuff. You're going to be out on the trail when you eat this, and you're going to have been walking all day with a pack on. So what you consider tasting good on the trail is totally different from what you taste at home. So you got that fresh air exercise factor, so I'm relatively certain this would be pretty tasty. Another thing is, this is one of those things that you could put over ramen noodles rather than the spice packet. You could put it on instant mashed potatoes. If you had taco shells, you could mix this up and dip tortilla wrappers in it. Bagels, bread, just about anything that, this is getting boiling pretty good, just about anything that you would have in your pack for edibles, you could put with this. This is kind of a universal, and with my original idea, would just have something universal. No matter what you had in your pack, this would go along with it. And basically anything. Another idea I've had is, rather than using hamburgers, somebody was talking about taking beef jerky and running it through a coffee grinder and grinding it up really fine. And I think that might lend itself well to this and actually give it a little more flavor than the hamburger does. But, there's a lot of different ways to go on this. It's basically a universal meal, and after this sets a few minutes, it'll thicken up even more than it has already. And, but not that it really is going to do you any good, but here's what it looks like. It's a little watery yet. It'll thicken up after it sets a while. And if I had more time here, we weren't on a video, I'd probably simmer this for like 10 minutes. The bongo doesn't use that much fuel. And it would be really good. So let's try it right now and I'll give you my opinion of what it tastes like. That's good. Not like homemade, but you had something to dip in it or some pasta to go with it. It would be good. It would be real good. It's just got a universal flavor that'll lend itself well to about anything. Hey, it's Sloppy Joe. I'm Tinny from Mini Bowl Design. Get out and hike. Take a friend. And more important than anything, have a great day. Bye-bye.